Strand State Forest is located about 2 miles east of Naples in Collier County. It is the fourth largest state forest in Florida. It is named after the large cypress strands that once occupied the area. Did have a lot of fun doing that trail ride yesterday. Beautiful, beautiful place and a nice group of people. If you're ever interested in checking out their group, it's Trail Marco. They have a YouTube channel. I'll put a link here so you can check it out, and also a Facebook group. Yeah, it was a blast, and definitely some nice trails down there. Picayune Strand. So today, are you wondering? I got my running boards. So I am going to be installing those. Here's a look at the running boards. Oedro is the brand, and they're supposed to be really simple to install. And I'll tell you, they're really heavy duty. Much heavier duty than I thought they'd be. Seem to be of good quality. They came well packaged, and there doesn't seem to be any damage in shipping, which is a plus. So these are the only tools I'm gonna need. A ratchet with extension and a 13mm socket, and a 10mm ratchet wrench. They provide all the bolts and things that you need. I'm gonna get started. All right, well, I propped it up here and it's pretty much lined up where it needs to go. I'm gonna get under there, and it bolts to the body, and then in the front here it bolts to the pinch thing. I'll show you. All right, so these black bolts are what I use to go to the body, and there's 3. So there's one on each end and in the middle, and it's just a lock washer and a washer, and I will tighten it down. And I'm not going to tighten it down completely. I'm going to leave it a little loose so that there's room for adjustment. I'll come back and I'll do these that are along the pinch seam, and then get everything adjusted. Now I just have the one in the center. Oh my God. Okay, so here on the pinch seam, I'm going to line this up with the holes and just go ahead and put these carriage bolts in. There's 6 of them. I can get my finger in there. I'm using my knee to kind of line it up here. And once I get these in, then that'll help me. Okay, so on the back of these carriage bolts is going to be a washer, a lock washer, and a nut. and then I will tighten them down. All right, all the bolts are on and they're loose right now, so I'm going to adjust everything and make sure it's all lined up good.
Okay.
All the bolts are tightened down that are along this pinch seam here. Now I'm just going to go through and make sure that these that are attached to the body is tight. Tight. All right, it's on there. Wow, I like them. So now we got to do this side. Get it lined up and do it the same way. Now I can get right up here to the top. Yeah, I'm gonna be happy with this. All done. They look nice. One more thing done. In a previous video, we showed you how we removed the seats back here. And what we didn't show is removing these seat belts. And I had a viewer ask me, how do you remove the seat belts? Are you going to? And I hadn't thought about them yet, so I wasn't sure how. And her husband are currently doing a build on their Jeep, and they had reached the point where they were going to remove the seat belts, and they did so and sent me instructions on how they did it. We are going to do pretty much the same thing. The only difference is we may not completely remove them. So once we get to a certain point, we'll decide if we're going to completely remove them or just remove them part way.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove this bolt on the bottom. And these are going to be extremely tight. They probably use a red Loctite or something because they don't really want them removed, but we don't have any seats back here, so we don't need the seat belts. I'm going to try my impact driver and see how that goes. Oh, that was a lot looser than I expected to be. That was easy. Alright, so next I'm going to work on removing this one. And I believe this cap comes off, and then we'll see what's underneath there. But we were kind of hoping this would retract all the way. It doesn't. So we may have to remove the whole seatbelt. Unless we can, Cindy's planning on having a shelf or something across here. We might be able to just have this underneath that in a way that it's not going to rattle or make noise and leave it in. The nice thing about leaving all this in, I guess, if we take the build out and we want to put these seat belts back in, it'll be easy to put them back in, as opposed to having to take all the plastic apart again. All right, for this cap, I'm just going to use a pry tool and see if we can. That was easy. And it looks like this is a Torx bit, maybe a T50. So I'll grab one of those and see if we can get this one out. All right, so this is a T50, and we're going to see if we can get this off. All right, so that came out fairly easy. What I'd like to do is try to remove this tab here if I can, and put this bolt back up in there, and then figure out what we're going to do with the rest of this. Either take it all the way off, or see if we can work with hiding it underneath the shelf.
All right. I don't want to take this whole seatbelt mechanism out. I want to have it so that it's easy to put back together if I should decide I want to later. So what I'm gonna do is just coil this seatbelt up, wrap it in something, probably some foam, so that way it won't make any noise back here, and I'm going to have it kind of mounted in right here, and that's just to store it right in that spot because you'll never see it. I'm gonna have a shelf that goes across here. I won't be getting that done today, but I do plan to put a shelf here, and it will be completely covered. Nobody will even know it's there, and that space right there is kind of unusable space really for much. So I'm just gonna do that and just keep it simple. Well, I'm not a hoarder, but I kept all this foam because I knew it'd come in handy someday, and this foam is from when I made the bed cushions in the van. What I'm gonna do, we cut a piece out, cut the center out, put one back in. I'm gonna stuff this whole seatbelt mechanism into this, put this piece back on top, wrap it all in tape, and cram it up in there. So I think that's gonna work. Looks funny right now, but like I said, it's gonna be completely hidden and no one will ever even know it's there. Except for you guys, of course. Now we gotta do this one. So we have those wrapped up, packed in their spot, and once we put the shelf on here, we may pack around them a little bit more. We wanna make sure they're good and snug and aren't gonna move around and make noise. Now we have this little thing here to contend with. We took the bolt out because it sticks out a little bit, and the way it is right now, I'm gonna make a little cover that makes that more attractive. You can cover it up and it'll look like it was supposed to be there.
Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is remove this storage area cover. And that is held on the sides by 3 bolts on each side, 6 total. And you can use the tool that came with the Jeep. This is the T40 that comes in there. And that's all it takes. So this is the bolt that's under there, and it just has this cover that clips on there. And I just used a little pry tool to pop that up, and that's how you get to them. So I'm just gonna take these out now. So it also has these little spacer things that go in the hole here, and they just push out. Oops. And now one side's out, and I'll do the other side. Alright, so both sides are out. The centerpiece is ready to come out, and then Cindy made a bag up for the hardware. We can just put everything in there and save it so we don't lose it. And that's it. It's ready to come out.
So now this cubby will be accessible from underneath the subfloor, which is what we're going to be doing next. And that will be in next week's video, hopefully. So yeah, we're moving along slowly. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you can be sure not to miss a video as we continue this build. Thanks for watching, guys.